The famous French astrologer Nostradamus is renowned for making several predictions during his time that many consider fact rather than fiction. Among his many revelations, Nostradamus accurately predicted several key world events, such as Hitler's rise to power, the 9/11 attack, a global pandemic, and the death of Queen Elizabeth II. He even predicted that a 7.5 magnitude earthquake would hit Ishikawa and its Noto peninsula in Japan in 2024, which came true. What's interesting is that Nostradamus predicted these events back in 1555, and throughout history, his prophecies have been coming true. So, who is Nostradamus? And should you take the predictions he made for 2024 to heart? Watch till the end of the video to get the full picture. 2024 is going to be very different compared to the past 10 years. There have been several signs that showed us we're about to see the world change. And many of these signs are directly hinted at in Nostradamus's most well-known book, called Les Prophecies. This book notes approximately 942 future events. Among them, 70% of the forecasts have come true. There are several other entries in the book that have yet to see the light of day, but we are fairly confident that those prophecies will also be revealed in due time. With that said, it is also important to remember that many of Nostradamus's prophecies can be interpreted in different ways. So, it is best to take things with a grain of salt, as your understanding of the texts could differ greatly from someone else. With that said, let's learn about Nostradamus and his most prominent prophecies for 2024. Who is Nostradamus? Michel de Nostradam, or Nostradamus for short, was a French astrologer, physician, and reputed seer who lived during the 16th century. He was born on December 14, 1503, in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence, France, and gained widespread fame for his writings. He studied at the University of Avignon, but was forced to leave after a year when the university closed due to an outbreak of the plague. He worked as an apothecary for several years before entering the University of Montpellier, hoping to earn a doctorate, but was almost immediately expelled. That is because apothecary was forbidden under university rules. Although he studied medicine to eventually become a physician, he is best known for his work in astrology and prophecy. Nostradamus developed a deep interest in occultism and began making prophecies around 1547. In 1555, Nostradamus published the first edition of Les Prophecies, a collection of verses that he claimed contained predictions about future events. His writings caught the attention of the Queen Consort of Henry II of France, who invited him to the court of Catherine de Medicis to cast the horoscopes of her children. The verses of Nostradamus were often written in a cryptic and obscure style, using symbolism, metaphor, and wordplay, which has led to wide-ranging interpretations of their true meaning over the centuries. But despite the ambiguity of his writings, many people have claimed that Nostradamus accurately predicted several key moments of history, such as the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, the French Revolution, the World Wars, and the September 11th attacks. Interestingly, his work was never condemned by the Congregation of the Index, the body set up by the Roman Catholic Church for the examination of books and manuscripts, despite dealing with taboo topics like future predictions. However, skeptics argue that these interpretations are often based on hindsight bias, and that many of Nostradamus's predictions are so vague that they can be applied to a wide range of events. Whether Nostradamus possessed genuine prophetic abilities or simply had a knack for writing cryptic verses that could be interpreted in multiple ways remains a subject of debate among scholars and enthusiasts alike. But regardless of what anyone might think, Nostradamus's legacy continues to fascinate people around the world, and his prophecies are still widely studied and interpreted today. Nostradamus's predictions for 2024. Now let's talk about what Nostradamus has said will happen this year. He seemed to have foreseen the severe weather events we are experiencing today, such as violent storms, wildfires, and soaring temperatures. He wrote verses that mention the earth will become parched, and we will see great floods. He also warned of a very great famine through pestiferous wave, which could refer to tsunamis, devastating agriculture, and leading to disease and starvation. If his visions are accurate, we may expect even more severe climate events in the coming years. Nostradamus has also prophesied potential geopolitical conflicts. With China's rise as a global power, experts have speculated about a new Cold War between China and the United States. Nostradamus's book includes lines that mention combat and naval battle and a red adversary. Could the red adversary represent communist China, and does the verse allude to a confrontation at sea? Given China's significant naval capabilities, the possibility of a diplomatic incident or worse cannot be ruled out. There are also mentions of a coming economic downturn. The verse, "No abbots, monks, no novices to learn, honey shall cost far more than candle wax. So high the price of wheat that man is stirred, his fellow man to eat in his despair," is likely pointing to rising prices of goods and services. In fact, we are already experiencing this event on a global scale as living costs have been consistently increasing. Furthermore, Nostradamus addressed that there might be a possibility that we will see a new pope in 2024. With Pope Francis in his mid-80s and facing health issues, a transition in the Holy Church might be on the horizon. However, he also warns that this new leader will weaken his see and hold the position for a long time. Unfortunately, the exact meaning of weaken remains unclear and open to interpretation. What's interesting about this revelation is that Saint Malachi also stated a very similar prophecy about the last pope, where he predicted that Pope Francis would be the last pontiff before the end of the world. Do you think there's a connection between these two predictions? Let us know in the comment section below. There are verses in Les Prophéties stating that the King of the Isles would be driven out by force and will be replaced by one who will have no mark of a king. Given the current state of Britain's royal family, we believe that this is in reference to them. It has been reported that Britain's King Charles III has been diagnosed with a form of cancer, and the 75-year-old monarch will postpone public-facing duties while he undergoes treatment. Meanwhile, King Charles III's estranged son, Prince Harry, recently arrived in London after his father's diagnosis. So could this mean that we will see Prince Harry become king? What will happen to King Charles? What could the prophecy imply when it mentions that the king will be driven out by force? Only time will tell. Nostradamus also predicted that Vladimir Putin would likely suffer from health issues. He said that the president of Russia would have a difficult year and that someone close to Putin would try to exploit the situation to seize power away from him. This change in leadership will likely lead to a destabilization of Russian power in the coming years. Another verse from Les Prophéties states that, as wealth and power begin to sway, doubt in leaders, currencies astray, in search of answers, a changing trend, new horizons beckon around the bend. This verse is likely referring to a new nation that will become the next big superpower of the world. Nostradamus predicts that India will play a crucial role in shaping the global economy, which will significantly impact the future of mankind. However, the most concerning prediction by Nostradamus states that we could be heading toward World War III. With conflict already occurring in Ukraine, between China and Taiwan, the recent Iranian attack on Israel, the genocide in Palestine, and many global powers backing various sides, there are multiple potential confirmations of this prophecy already. Internet users expressed apprehension about potential alliances and conflicts, with some envisioning a divide between NATO-aligned nations and those allied with Russia, China, Iran, Yemen, and North Korea. This could spell an imminent threat of a new world war. How accurate are Nostradamus's predictions? Now that we know about the predictions Nostradamus made for 2024, let's analyze how reliable they are. Although there are several aspects of Les Prophéties that align with many historical incidents, it is important to note that these prophecies could refer to almost anything. That is the vague nature of Nostradamus's writings. Many experts argue that Nostradamus's prophecies are given weight after the fact, which could potentially originate from hindsight bias. However, it is not possible to fully prove that Nostradamus's revelations are completely false either. In one of his verses, it is mentioned that, from the depths of the west of Europe, a young child will be born of poor people. He who by his tongue will seduce a great troop, his fame will increase towards the realm of the east. Many people have claimed that this verse refers to the rise of Hitler. While the verse has some similarities with how Hitler came to be, it is still a bit ambiguous, so whether you choose to believe the words of Nostradamus or not is completely up to you. The way his words are interpreted is very subjective and will vary from person to person. That's why we would advise you to take these revelations with a bit of skepticism. After all, According to Nostradamus, we will be making contact with alien life forms this year, which is extremely unlikely to happen. Nostradamus passed away in 1566 at the age of 62. Yet almost 500 years after his death, people still talk about his prophecies. Many proclaimed saints and prophets have come after him with a plethora of revelations, but only Nostradamus's words ring true to this day. Regardless of what anyone might think, we cannot deny that Nostradamus is one of the few people who did peek into the future. If this exploration into Nostradamus's prophecy has given you new insight into the future of our world, show your support by liking, subscribing, and ringing the bell icon for more deep dives into other well-known prophecies.